Hi campers, this is Logan Gregory at Country Camper, and today I have the privilege to be joined by Taylor Fennick from Grand Design RV. So Taylor is one of the greatest reps in the country, and he oversees Imagine and Transcend. So I'm going to turn it over to him, and he's going to talk about this amazing new Transcend Xplor that we have behind us. We're really excited about this product.
Thanks, Logan. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for watching. Yeah, Transcend has had a really, just like the whole industry, a really unique year. And so we came out a couple years ago, tried to find its footing, and then through the success this year, the customer base has kind of helped us guide where to take the brand. So we used to have a Transcend and Xplor, Xplor being like the lighter, more towable version of it. That took off like hotcakes, so we ended up just transitioning from Transcend straight to Xplor, and now we've kind of got our eyes set on expanding this line as the year goes on. So this is a brand new floor plan for us, the 240 ml.
That's really exciting.
One of the first ones in the country to hit. We got it here.
We feel very privileged. And so, in looking at this, Taylor, you raised a really interesting point. You were listening to your customers, and I think that's a staple of Grand Design and how the company was founded. It kind of goes into your golden threads. It goes into the customer feedback and how active you guys are as a company and listening to your customers. So that's really big that you guys standardize. So what will that mean for our customers, though? What does that mean for our mutual Grand Design customers of you guys standardizing?
Well, listening to the customer base, that is the number one thing that Grand Design's done since day one. So when the owners, Ron, Don, and Bill, left their previous company and came over here, it was all listening to customers. During their year off, they would knock on campground doors and ask for feedback. So the benefit of that is when a customer walks in, comes into the lot, walks into a Transcend or really any other brand that we make, it's gonna feel comfortable. They're gonna turn around and say, man, I wish this had oh, it does. Like we thought about it because they told us. We do tours every day, we come to shows, we come to the dealerships. So it's making sure that rather than us pitching them on a feature we're adding, it's just something they know they already want.
That's fantastic. And so when looking at the Transcend Xplor, this is a traditional built camper that kind of revolutionized the way that the industry looked at the traditional built, right? There used to be this progression from a pop-up to a travel trailer to a fifth wheel. Now I'm getting, buyers that are just, this is their camper. This is their go-to camper. And why is that? I think it's the build quality, but can you talk to me about that?
There's a lot that goes into it, but I'm glad you brought that up about this traditional build, because this is how the industry started. Way back, it was always a wood frame trailer. Then it kind of changed, that people wanted to see how can we make trailers lighter. It wasn't how can we make them necessarily better, it was how can we make them lighter for people to tow. Over the years, the industry's kind of gotten in the habit of building these a little bit cheaper. We saw that and it was like blood in the water. We're like, this is just, we see an opportunity now to change the industry. The way I kind of described it is looking at it like a David and Goliath. Like we're coming in with something that's a huge risk, like a high-end quality wood frame trailer. That's almost an oxymoron. So when we came out with it, it is all quality. And like coming in and saying, okay, well, you're gonna pay a little bit more, but it's for these parts. It's gonna save you more long-term because of service issues later on after you use it. This is the best built wood frame trailer out there. And it does get now competition to fiberglass trailers because it's so solid.
And that's been incredible. We've seen it on a lot. We've heard that feedback from our customers. Now, one thing that's really interesting about this, and we are privileged to have one of the first in the country, but this obviously features your new graphics, but it's not just that you've added a nice new exterior. Let's talk about this sidewall construction, talk about the materials that you're using, because I think that is what differentiates Transcend Xplor from anything else in the traditional built segment.
There's so many, we could talk for hours, because there's about like 1,200 components on a Transcend. So when people ask like, what's the difference between this and something else that I'm looking at, there's so many, it could be 1,100, 1,200 different things. Like we're using a better thread screw or just different things like that where the quality is going to be built in. So the sidewall, like we're talking about, we came out with a matte finish. Nobody's had that before. So it's almost like, I think the benefit of that, having this matte finish, it's like a tough coat. If something were to have like a little blemish on it, think of a stainless steel fridge. If you get a ding on that stainless steel fridge, you're gonna notice that right away because it's so shiny.
Sure.
Having the matte finish, it's gonna look clean over the years as you beat this thing up and take it out camping.
Sure.
We did just change the decal package too. It's been kind of an interesting process to find decals that work because this is such a unique sidewall.
Sure.
We almost had to come up with our own new sticker that that would adhere to it a little bit
Sure.
better. So we've put a lot of time in this. We work with so many different suppliers that have hooked us up with the best parts. So some of the differences, we wanted to build this like a house. We saw what the other companies were doing, and like I said before, they kind of went a little bit cheap with it. The things that we do, so it's 16-inch studs, right? That's what a house is. A lot of people are 24, 20. Some guys, this is the really low-end ones, but they'll just frame out a back wall and there would be nothing else back there as support. So we want to have this thing really as tight as you can with the structure. Around our windows, we do what's called a quad seal. So as the trailer goes down the road, I mean, it's hurricane force winds, literally. So you want this trailer as tight as you can get it. So the quad seal, if you pulled this window out, we have 2 different layers of PVC foam tape, a layer of Mylar tape, which you have to burn Mylar tape to get rid of. No water can get through it. It's gonna last longer than the trailer does. And then we have this, we put the window in, obviously, then the silicone caulking around the outside. So there's 4 different layers where water's gonna have to try to fight like heck to get through there. Not gonna happen. Water is cancer. Like, we don't want water in a trailer at all. So everything that we do is to keep that out. All of our, we put little padding around the back sides of these, even these little cutouts like this. So again, there's insulation coming through here. Nothing's gonna be able to fight through this caulking and get inside the trailer.
So it sounds like to me, when you're talking about 1,100 to 1,200 components, you're talking about maybe the screw, or maybe it's a seal, or whatever, you know, it comes together to form this incredible package that you guys are basically putting together a traditional built trailer that is going to outlast probably the camping experience. So it's pretty incredible with the build quality and the commitment that Grand Design has had.
Well, people are using these more and more. They aren't just taking these on weekend camps anymore. Like, I did retail in Texas. I've kind of worked as a trainee all over the country. Every area of the country has different needs for their trailers. Whether it's a deer lease, whether they're putting their son and daughter in it to live in there, like, people are spending more time in their RVs now, so we want to build them like that.
Well, it's interesting too that you mentioned that, especially with the build quality, how people are traveling more in the United States. They're going from Texas to Vermont to Yellowstone. They're experiencing the country and what we have to offer. But the build allows them to do that, which I know you and I, we love product. We like talking about RVs, but for the camper out there, that means that you're getting a quality camper that basically you don't have to worry about the nuts and bolts. Because your company has thought about this and you've allowed them to be able to go and enjoy that time with their family members. So that's pretty important.
It's important to us. This whole industry is built off the customer, obviously. Like, there's no marketing, there's no commercials. It's all just build a good trailer, and you're going to be sitting around a fire and talk about how good your trailer is. If we don't put like our blood, sweat, and tears into the design of this and the construction of this, and the workers, like, there's so many layers that building an RV, it's not just going down the line. If every aspect of it has to be perfect, or something could go wrong. So we take it very, very serious.
Well, and let's talk about it. Obviously, there are some on the fun things that you guys did add to this. Obviously, there's a lot of use with some of the updates that you've made, but there's some things like roof-mounted solar panels. You've also changed the refrigerator. So let's move down the side of this coach. We can look at the awesome graphics package. I think it's the cool thing here, whatever tow vehicle you have, it's gonna match up really well.
It's a sharp trailer. I really like the new. It kind of has that mean front cap on it.
It does.
Yeah, it's a good look.
And I know Grand Design spent a lot of time, but let's head down and let's look at that refrigerator. Let's talk about that, and also talk about how that kind of pairs up with some of the other features that you have.
I did forget to mention one thing.
Okay,
if that's okay.
That's totally fine.
So one big addition. This is like 6 months after we came out with Transcend. We used to just do what everybody else was doing. Is R14 on the roof, insulation wise, because we're talking about spending more time in it. R14 on the roof, R11 on the floor. We were building it in the same line initially as our Imagine, which was an R40 installation. So we're like, yeah, it's going to cost us more money. Let's just eat it and put that over the whole roof and the front cap. So that's R40 installations, what we have on our Solitudes, Momentums, Reflections, all the way over that front cap. This is the best insulated trailer that's out there too, in terms of the stick and tin line. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, we're really happy with the installation.
That's great. Well, let's talk about that, and talk about this refrigerator, and then also this awesome solar panel setup. So go ahead, Taylor. So when we talk about Grand Design as a company, Grand Design is obviously one that we know does not stand still. Grand Design is known for constantly making advancements that are going to improve your camping experience. It's not just look at this shiny new feature. So Taylor, you and I were kind of talking off camera before about these exciting new upgrades, but I want you to get into this. Talk about this new Furrion fridge.
The big change that we've had just very recently is this fridge, and it's the 12-volt fridge. So it's all battery run. It's not run off propane anymore. And you can see it's way deeper. So this is a 10 cube fridge. It's way deeper than what it's going to normally be. I think the gas electric would stop about right here. So it gives you a little bit more space. Having it, I have a lot of concerns with the gas electric fridge, like from customers, either whether it's in the slide or do we run with the propane as we're going down the road. It just always caused a little bit of like a consideration of safety almost.
Sure.
So having this 12 volt in here, that we'll show you in a second, but it wires up to solar panels on the roof, which will obviously power this. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's going to fail a lot less. It's much safer. And like I said, more space, which everybody wants space for food and stuff when they're camping.
Sure.
So.
And you mentioned in the traditional build, we see a lot of different trailers in a year, and this is 10 cubic foot versus in a standard gas electric setup. Maybe you're at 6, 7, 8 cubic feet, maybe.
And we still usually when you have to go to a bigger fridge, it's bigger like vertically.
Sure.
So you lose extra storage. So we were having this that goes deeper. Was just we still have this feature which you can put doggy dishes in, you can fit some wine bottles in there if you don't have a pet, and it's just very, very versatile without taking up extra storage.
Well, and let's talk about the space, because I feel like this gets overlooked as Grand Design's going to this 12 volt refrigerator setup. There's been a talk about compressors. I know compressors aren't the most flashiest things to talk about, but basically you're not taking up as much space, so you have a more efficient refrigerator that's also going to cool a lot faster. I'm hearing stats as quick as 3 times faster. That's pretty significant.
I'm glad you brought that up. And even things they say that the trailer's unlevel, then that will hurt the fridge too. And like
on the gas electric, right?
Yeah, on the gas electric. And a lot of customers will call and say you couldn't get that cold that fast, or their ice cream was a little bit melted. And like I have heard great things about this, and we just switched to it and we already get great feedback.
That's fantastic. So you have a bigger fridge, it's more efficient. It sounds like a win.
There's nothing else. It's awesome. It was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer.
And so let's talk a little bit about that additional feature which you were mentioning with the roof-mounted solar panel. So
the solar I feel like is becoming a more popular thing.
It is.
And a lot of our sales guys around the country are saying like, hey, our customers are asking for this. So within the last 6 months, we've added a solar, like we always have had solar prep on our trailers. People would take that, it was on the side, and people still wanted to really go all out if they were dry camping and put them up on the ceiling, on the roof. So now we've changed that. Our prep is on the roof now. The benefit of having a 12 volt fridge is battery run. So we have the solar panel already up there from the factory.
Right.
So you guys don't have to worry about it. Customers don't have to be concerned about it. It's basically like, here's your fridge, and then that's part of the fridge is that solar panel up there that's charging that.
That's fantastic.
So it's all hooked up. Yeah.
And so that system is 165 watt solar panel matched up with a 25 amp solar controller.
Yeah.
And our understanding is that you can also add another panel to it as well if you wanted to, so you can even increase your capacity.
Having that up there now is incredible for those people that do. I think making it more accessible too will almost motivate more customers to try it, because initially it was like, oh, you got to buy this with it and do this and get this part, and it was just kind of a lot to think about.
Sure.
Now I think it's making the idea of dry camping more approachable.
Absolutely. Well, and you think about it, traditional built in such a great built trailer with you've always, Grand Design has always been out front of having one of the best warranties in the industry, promoting full-time living, making sure the weekend warriors are taken care of, and now you've got this kind of all-in-one setup where people can use the most important features of their camper.
Oh yeah. There's people now, especially now this year, want to get off the grid. So we're trying as fast as we can without coming out with something we haven't tested a bunch first, like to make sure that we're giving them what we need. Like we work with a lot of big like YouTube channels and these people that are literally spending their lives as in this lifestyle of RVs, and we're learning a lot from them.
Sure.
We're learning a lot from people that do 2 camps a year.
Right.
You know, it's like we talked about out there. It's all customer feedback. This was a customer idea. Like, let's add this. Let's move the solar up to the roof. We want to go dry camping more. So everything that we see in these trailers really is customer feedback that we've just decided to implement.
So let's talk about that. Right now we're in 240 ml. Customer feedback, talking about the great floor plans and offerings that you have. Let's talk about this exciting new floor plan. Tell me about it, Taylor.
This thing is awesome. I wish that everybody could just be standing here with us to get a full scope of it.
It is huge.
It's so
really
open.
is huge.
A big thing that we try to do, you want to have a big trailer, but you don't want to take up your awning space. So we try not to have slides on the door side. Let's put them over here. And That way you get full use of that awning that goes out, and then you still get a ton of space in here. The best part about this is normally in a travel trailer, you have your sofa here and then your dinette's right here. It's like you're gonna sit down and talk to somebody like this for 2 hours. It's just not functional.
Right. So
having seating across from seating, you can entertain, whether it's just your family or you have friends in or your neighbors. Like, it's just going to be a very functional trailer to sit in and flow and not feel like you're on top of each other.
Yeah.
The kitchen separation is awesome. It's kind of just a good flowing trailer. I was telling you outside, there's not like a big flashy thing I could point to and be like, well, this is why this trailer is going to work. It might be the big sink is what somebody wants, or it might be that the furniture's across from each other, the TV's right there. We have this big, massive bedroom, and there's just a lot of features that it's going to work for whatever your needs are.
Exactly. Well, and you mentioned going back in terms of the space and how Grand Design's thinking about this when you're laying out a new trailer.
Yeah.
This trailer comes in at 29 feet 9 inches, I believe. So you built this 240 ML to fit in a lot of state parks, right? People are getting off the grid, like you're mentioning.
We hear that all the time with the state parks.
So it's fantastic. And then how you're mentioning with this layout, I mean, still having the TV right there, you have the flexibility, but I mean, you got to take us through this kitchen. This is one of the best kitchens I've seen in a floor plan.
The feedback that we always hear, and you probably always hear too, is countertop space and storage.
Of course.
And just like in your house, like again, we don't work, when they started the company, they would not sit down with RV suppliers. The 3 owners sat down with home architects and home designers. So like, how can we make this feel less like a trailer? Let's make it feel like your home. So all this countertop space, rather than having all these just big doors everywhere, which is a great way to save money, we actually put in way more drawers are on these big, like, this is way overdone in terms of the parts that we have. Like, you can feel, not through the camera, but you can feel how strong and sturdy this is. Like, we're not going to give you a drawer to put utensils in and then you put like a utensil tray in and that falls through the bottom.
Right.
Again, this is very, very quality built. So
well, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing over 20 doors and drawers just in this count. I mean, this is incredible. And when you talk about it, people can actually bring your coffee pots. You've put in outlets. It's just a smart design. You've actually thought of the consumer. You've not thought about the bottom line with this. It's just, I just love to see it from Grand Design. Even, okay, this may seem like a small feature to some. It's huge to me. I recently did a video on Solitude 345 GK, another new floor plan. This is the same setup that they're putting in a Solitude. So whereas most traditional built would just be a straight wall right here, they're actually giving you a window in your prep space here.
It's all light. You want to have as much space as you can. We got skylights. Anytime you have windows on opposite sides just to get the airflow in, there's so many little things that you don't even think about. And that's the one thing I've learned the most from customers, talking to customers, is they walk in kind of, the RV industry's told them what to ask.
Sure.
So we almost come out with things that people don't even know are there. Like I said, until they're walking around, they're like, I wish that had, oh, it does. So like, that's a lot of these little things that we think of come in and are just very functional with the person. I keep saying functional, but that's the biggest thing about Grand Design is the functionality of it.
Well, and I think when you look at this, I mean, I've been in a number of floor plans. We order a bunch of floor plans. You guys make great stuff, but this is one of the most, in a under 30-foot package, this is one of the nicest floor plans I've been in. I think you guys hit it out of the park with this 240 ML. And so I just want to thank you, Taylor, for being here today, for taking us through Transcend Xplor, taking us through this new floor plan, and we're really excited to be partnered with Grand Design.
We're going to have a fun year. I'm excited.
It's going to be awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.